friends, welcome back to my channel. So we know that hard work is a given when it comes to building your online business, but what happens when we find ourselves constantly doing the hard work, but really not seeing a lot of traction or a lot of progress in our online business? If that's happening to you, you've probably fallen into one of the most common yet not really talked about traps of entrepreneurship, which is building a job as opposed to building a business. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the difference between the two, how common it is to actually fall into this trap, and most importantly, how to get yourself the hell out of it. Before we do that though, please make sure to subscribe to the channel below so that you can continue getting incredible business advice, tips, and tricks on how to build a brandable, scalable, and bankable business from your girl right here. All right, let's get into the video. So back when I first started business coaching in 2018, I actually didn't think that it was possible to be able to build a job because I was living my life. I had nobody telling me what to do. I was clocking in whenever I wanted to, and I was just doing my thing and then leaving the work to be. But it wasn't until early 2019 that I started to really understand what building a job is. There were things like me waking up and absolutely dreading all the work and all of the tasks and all of the projects that I had to work on because nobody else was around to be able to do that work for me. And mind you, this wasn't just working with my clients. That's what I absolutely adore to do, but I couldn't give as much energy to my clients because all of my energy was being drained for all the other things I had to do to run my business. So the marketing, the lead generation, the content, the admin stuff, it was just thing after thing after thing after thing that by the time I actually felt I could give time to my audience and give time to my clients, I was exhausted. I was tired. I'm like, I don't got time for this. I need to sleep and I need to watch Netflix. I need to do something to rejuvenate myself. I was also turning in time for money. So I was charging hourly. For the packages that I had, I broke it down from an hour basis. People would ask if they could get different discounts if they only use for different hours. And I was trying to figure out how to make it work just so I could have people coming in to business with me. But because of that, I was spending all of my time in the hopes of getting a couple $100 into my business. So I was switching in time for money. I also was running my business based on tasks. So all my tasks were what held up my business. It's like, okay, if Elizabeth does this task, this task, this task, this task, then the business is all right. If I miss any one of the four, my business will collapse. The fourth thing was that I had zero assets outside of my business besides my own energy to invest in the growth of the business. And what that means is essentially I was the only one who was able to do any of the work. The moment I stopped, the business stopped. The moment I stopped writing content, the moment I stopped looking for leads is the moment that my business collapsed. I was constantly on 24/7 for months. Upwards of a year even, trying to make this business run with just myself. The worst thing about all of this is that that meant that I never could really take a day off. It meant that even when I was on vacation in Thailand at that time, I was working. Whenever I got sick, I was like, well, too bad. It looks like I'm bringing my laptop to bed because I'm working. My weekends, non-existent because I was working. There was never a day off. And when I actually took a step back and looked at what I had built, I hadn't really gotten much farther. I was barely making half of what I was making at my full-time job. And I was thinking, what the heck? I've been working for so long and really hard. What's the deal? The problem was that all of the work that I'd been doing was just building out a cage that I could never leave, a job. So I looked up the definition of job, and it states that a job is either a task or piece of work, especially one that is paid, or another way of thinking it is a particular piece of work completed in exchange for pay. So you are doing work, and in exchange, you are getting money for it, otherwise time for money. Compared to a business, the business definition is an organization or economic system where goods and services are exchanged for one another or for money. So when I looked at these two definitions, the biggest difference that I saw is that a job is where you're being paid for your time, and a business is where you're being paid for your value and your solutions, regardless of how much time you put into it. And when I was looking at these two definitions and looking for where my business sat, I was actually sitting closer to the job side. I was exchanging time for money. It was dependent on how much time I put into the business, which then told me how much money I got out of it. But whenever I took a step back, all of that progress that I just made stopped. It actually went backwards because I wasn't seeing any money coming through, I wasn't seeing any clients coming in, and I couldn't figure out why I wasn't making as much progress as I thought I would be because of all the work that I was doing. Clearly, however, you can see that there's a disconnect between the business that we want to build and the business that we have accidentally built for ourselves, and it's one that's actually detrimental to the entrepreneurial journey because it leads to overwhelm, it leads to burnout, it leads to us starting to doubt if the vision of what we had for our business was actually possible. And unfortunately, it leads to a lot of entrepreneurs closing their doors before they ever got a real start. So how did this happen? How did this trap even come to be? Well, we know that businesses are built on foundations, and this is your foundational processes, your foundational systems, your foundational habits. But when those foundations are based in the doing without any clear direction or clear vision, all of a sudden you find yourself just doing a whole bunch of tasks over and over and over again with really no end in sight. It's similar to you essentially being on a hamster wheel, and instead of you putting in all this effort and seeing that effort turning into a satisfying result, you're constantly having to put in more work and more work and more work and more work just to keep up with all of the business processes. Because the moment you fall off, so does the business. The business stops working. The problem with this system, though, is that it leads to so much burnout because you are wasting so much energy just trying to keep the lights on in your business. When this happens, it's because we have convinced ourselves that our vision of our business can somehow be fit into somebody else's preset strategies. So if you think back of when you were first starting your business, you took in a lot of information, you watched a lot of YouTube videos, you maybe bought into some courses, into some coaching, you took in a lot of knowledge, and because of all the knowledge you were taking in, you bought into somebody else's strategy, thinking that theirs was the surefire way to getting to a vision. It may not have been your vision, but you thought, hey, I can make my vision kind of cater to that particular one because I like the result that they're showing. And because of all the success and how happy they look, then clearly we'll be just as happy and successful too, and we can just, kind of finesse how our vision will look. But when you're in a situation that you don't like enough, for me, it was leaving my 9-to-5 that no longer served me. For others, it can be something different. It could be even in your own business that you don't like the results and you want to see something better. When you are desperate enough, you will cling on to anything to be able to get out of that situation. So what do? We end up buying into these strategies, buying into these proven tactics, buying into these secrets of the universe, buying into these one and dones, and we start piecing together and hodgepodging all of these different tasks in the hope that it will create a semblance of the vision and result that we had in mind for our business. And then we jump on the hamster wheel and just start getting to work. But unfortunately, as we just said, the more work you put in because of all the strategies that you're seeing, without a clear direction or clear vision that you're wanting, you continue running for nearly forever without ever getting one step closer to that vision because those strategies did not match the vision. You tried to lower your vision to fit into the preset strategies, and that's just not how business works. So how do we fix this? How are we able to get you off the hamster wheel and get you business foundations that are going to help you scale? And when I say scale, I mean you will be able to walk away from the business and the business will keep doing its thing. How do we do this? We fix this by what I call vision setting. So for me and my clients, this is one of the first things that we actually do, because if you are in this hustle mentality of just wanting to go and grind, you are in a habit of sticking your head in the sand and then popping it up from time to time to see if you're anywhere close to your vision. We need to shift that to make sure that you are constantly doing the right work that is gradually moving you forward towards your vision. We do this by first setting the vision. We really paint that picture so that it is solidified so clearly in your mind that you can't help but only want to pick systems and strategies and habits and tasks that are going to get you closer to that. So hey friends, if it's not already obvious from the change of lighting and change of attire, I'm coming in on a different day to let you guys know that while I was editing this video, I realized there was so much information and so many action steps and just a lot of good nuggets of information that just wasn't gonna fit into one video. So I've broken this up into 2 parts. This is the end of the part 1 video where we have discussed what it looks like to build a business versus building a job, and whether or not you've fallen victim into building a job and endlessly working. And part 2 is going to be one of the personal exercises that I do with my one-on-one clients in helping you be able to set up your vision in a way to where you can assess and implement only the tactics and strategies that are going to get you straight to that vision that you have put in place. So if that is something that you're interested in, please make sure to hit the notification bell, make sure to hit subscribe so that you don't miss when part 2 comes out, as well as be sure to share this video with your fellow entrepreneurs who you know are stuck in that building a job mindset and need help in breaking out of that so that they can build the business that they envisioned. Until then, guys, I will see you guys in a couple of days for part 2. Bye.